Hey everyone. Sorry that took me. I had a little delay. My alarm went off and I had to go do something and I completely forgot. So it took me a second. But anyways, I'm here. I went ahead and posted the donations that I have received and that have come in. So Stacy donated before the live stream started, which means that she's considered a pre-order. And because of that, she's immune to skip the line. So if anybody comes in to skip, they can't skip Stacy because she is a pre-order. We are going to go ahead and get started on the yes/no pendulum questions here. We're going to start with Nat and see what we've got for Nat. So Nat, I don't think it's going to be enough of an issue to stop you from being able to do what you need to do, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I do think this person is going to give you a hard time and you will be met with resistance from this person. Like I said, I don't think it's going to stop you from being able to do what you need to do, but it's not going to be something that he just lets happen easily. There might be complications there. Nisha, I'm getting a no. Rising Storm, I am getting a yes. I don't know if they were like necessarily making fun of you because I don't know what they really could make fun of, but they might have been able to poke fun at your situation or talk about you in a laughable way. So in a sense, I guess yes. But I am getting a yes for that question. I just don't think that they're necessarily speaking kindly of you. Margaret, I'm getting a yes for you. You're welcome, Nat. Have a good day. You're welcome, Nisha. Zoe, I'm getting a no. You're welcome, Rising. Ah. Marta, I'm getting a yes for you. Beast Boy, I'm getting a no for that one. Divine Empress, I didn't skip anyone. If you look, you can see at 6:22, Marta posted a question, but then she changed her question to something different. So I went ahead and used her spot to adjust her question. So I'm still working through the list. Divine Empress, I'm getting a yes for that one. Amy, I'm getting a no for that one. I feel the struggle that I feel with these kinds of questions is that I do feel like your loved ones are around you, but I don't think they're around you all the time unless you're celebrating them, unless you're calling on them for help with something like, do you know what I mean? I feel like loved ones that have crossed over to the other side, they're not or as like earth side as much as they could be, I guess. um And I do feel like Eli's like crossed over, if that makes sense. He's like back in full spirit form. So I would say he's not naturally there with you today, but I feel like if you were, you know, calling on him here and there, I feel like he became present to you in those moments. But I don't think it's like he was lingering around or like taking it on his own self to be around you. I think that he knows you're okay. I think that he knows you're going to be fine. This is not a sickness that's going to like hospitalize you or anything like that. So therefore, I don't think he felt it necessary to be around you 24/7 in those moments. Wow, Sienna, this is crazy. I'm actually seeing the instability just from the pendulum swing. It's shaking like crazy. It's trying to show me a yes, but I feel like it's just shaking so much. I feel like I can't say confidently that there will be stability here. I think that there could be efforts that you guys put forth together to try to make a more stable relationship, but I think it's too soon to tell, to be completely honest. Oh, I already answered that one. You're welcome, Rising. You're welcome, Margaret. You're welcome, Marta. You're welcome, Divine. Hey, Chelsea, welcome in. Tammy, yes, absolutely. You can donate. Donations are open. Let's see. Donations are open, everyone. James says I donated a love too, and Minnie, I'm at work, so you can get to me later. Okay, James, sounds good. Tammy, the donation list is as follows. I went ahead and posted the donation list in the chat so you guys can see. I do have the option to pay to skip the line if you want to. It's $5 to do so. The only thing is you can't interrupt someone's reading if I'm currently doing someone's reading. And also, you can't skip pre-orders. So, but other than that, the $5 bumps you to the top of the list. Amy says, I'm feeling a little more okay for my sickness. Definitely got some fatigue. Yeah. Take the cues from your body. If you need to sleep, definitely make sure you do this. Of course, Amy, of course. Fancy Nancy, hurry up and post your yes, no question. Fancy Nancy, post your yes, no. Yeah, makes sense, Amy. Keep an eye on your blood sugar. Poonam, hello and welcome in. Amy, yes, I should be on Friday. I won't be on Saturday, and I'll probably be on Sunday night. All right, we're gonna finish up our last couple of yes no readings before the list closed. The first person on our donation list is Stacy. So Stacy, if you want, you can go ahead and get your question prepped and posted for me whenever you're ready. Chelsea, I'm getting a no for that. Tammy, I'm getting a no for this month. All right. Fancy Nancy, you have 30 seconds to post a yes no question before we move on. You're welcome, Tammy. Let me know if you guys have any questions about like my processes, how long the wait is, am I still accepting donations, all that stuff. You're more than welcome to ask. But the free list is closed for the day. Fancy Nancy, you have 15 seconds to post your yes no question before I move on to donations. James, I have your questions. Fancy Nancy going once. Going twice. All right, moving on. I messaged you on Instagram about this. My boyfriend Ryan and I ended up getting into another argument last night. How is he feeling about me? Will we be able to resolve this? So, Stacy, I did message you back. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, but those are like some themes that I was picking up on. Give me a second here. I'm just rereading over what you sent. All right, let's see. You said you did see it. He can be manipulative, and it does anger me. Okay. All right, Spirit, what can you tell me about the situation? What can you tell me about the situation between Stacy and Ryan? What can you tell me about the situation between Stacy and Ryan? All right, so I have house 2 here. This is the house of physical security and possessions, feeling safe, and potentially putting like your value on what you offer, what you bring to the table. It seems to me like Ryan could struggle with feeling like a power dynamic, which is probably a little bit uncomfortable to talk about because for me, when someone uses what they bring to the table as a way to control or potentially manipulate a relationship, that can be a little bit abusive. Um, if you constantly feel like this person is like pointing fingers at you, it's important that you take inventory and just really discern for yourself, is this what this person is saying? Is it actually true? Could I work on myself? Or are they really just doing the name game or the blame game? That's what I'm trying to say. Are they really doing the blame game, and not really recognizing where their faults are as well, and just trying to put the blame off on me? Um, it's important that you kind of like take stock within yourself and figure out what really is going on here. I have the cards of intuition. So I feel like there's some greater thing going on, that I feel like you're kind of tapping into. And the question is this the type of relationship that you want to be in as well? Like, I know that you love and care about this person, and you're like building a life with them, but if this continues for the next year or 2 years or 3 years, is this the type of relationship that you want to be in? Let's see. What's going on here, Spirit? What's going on here? You do contemplate what he says, but he doesn't hear you. Okay. So you feel like there's some stuff that he should also be working on, but for whatever reason, he doesn't want to recognize those things in himself. He just wants to make himself feel better by pointing the finger back at you. But you're like, well, we both have things to work on, but he's not seeing that. He only wants to focus on what's not working because of what you're doing, not what he's doing. Stacey, where do you feel like your fights stem from? Is it through misunderstanding or miscommunication? Do you feel like there's miscommunication or misunderstanding, and then it kind of stems from maybe not feeling completely safe in this relationship? And by safe, I don't mean like physically safe necessarily. I just mean, do you feel like you can trust this relationship? Do you feel like you completely can put your heart in his hands and know he's not going to hurt it? Is there like little things that we sweep under the rug that then get to a boiling point and then we lash out? Or are we in a cycle? Like, what? You said it can be misunderstanding sometimes, but we can't just talk about it and get over it. It turns into a long-winded fight. So the reason why I asked is because we had a lot of cards here indicating communication issues. So I feel, and I don't know if it seems, here's the thing. We all can use therapy. All of us individually can use therapy. But I think in this circumstance, it's probably good for you guys to find tools that you guys can communicate with each other. And for some reason, therapy just keeps coming through. And usually I would encourage individual therapy, but I think for you guys, it's more so to figure out how to talk to one another. And I feel like it's to talk, to be heard and understood. I think that's the thing, is that I feel he wants to talk just to be understood by you. You talk to want to be understood by him. But what ends up happening is he's just talking to try to be right. And you're just talking to try to help him understand where he can work on things. And it's like you guys are just talking to each other and not hearing one another, even though that's your goal, even though that's what you want to happen. And I see you, Stacey, really like caring about this person and really wanting to make it work. You've put a lot of hopes and dreams into this person. You guys have built a lot of memories with one another, and to feel like to let that go would be really hard to do. But I also feel like you guys are going in circles now. You don't get to the point of resolve, and I think that it's important that you find someone to help you understand how to communicate with each other. And I feel like this is going to be the true test, that if you suggest some type of therapy, not to necessarily talk through your problems or anything like that with someone else, more so to understand how to communicate with one another, just to have someone kind of give you some tools in your tool belt to understand how to communicate with one another so that you both feel heard. It's more like a practice rather than a therapy session. I think that depending on how he reacts to this suggestion would determine whether or not he's willing to evolve. If he says, yes, I'm absolutely on board, I think that's a great idea, let's look into that, I think that you can then, what does he say to therapy? Because I feel like his reaction's going to tell you everything you need to know. I think that if he really wants to resolve this with you and he really wants to work on this with you, he would. Okay, that's what I was going to say. If he really wants to do this with you and really try to work through this with you, then that's something that needs to happen. I think that it's definitely going to be effective. And the great thing about therapy is you can have like 4 or 5 sessions, and that can be it. And you guys can carry those things that you've learned into the future, and you'll always have that to come back to. I think that's what's really important, because it's not about the love that's there, that's not lacking. Caring about one another, wanting to be with each other, that's not lacking. Let's see how he's feeling about you now. Hold on. How is he feeling about Stacey right now? How is he feeling about Stacey right now? Because what I don't want to happen, Stacey, is you guys have that opportunity now to go to therapy and you don't take it, and then you guys go through these cycles continually for the next month or two, and then you eventually give up on the relationship, when it could have been prevented through something like therapy. Or at least you could say, well, we gave it our best shot, we didn't just give up. That's the important thing here. How is he feeling about her? How's he feeling about her? He feels like it's you against him. I have the opposition card here. He says a point of tension or a power struggle, an imbalance, which I was definitely picking up on. I think I actually said power struggle earlier. We have Virgo and Pisces, so this does indicate to me that he's still open to nurturing this connection with you. How does he feel about her? How does he feel about her? Wow, that's crazy, because I just said he wants to nurture the connection, and I have nurture, comfort, and protect. So, Stacey, he definitely still feels like he's your man. He feels like, he's your boyfriend. Like, he's saying, I'm here to protect and provide and bring comfort to her. but I don't know how to reach her. And so I feel like it's just this distance that's been created through these misunderstandings, and he's trying to figure out a way back to you, it seems. He's willing to work through this if you are. I have persistence here. Um, he's thinking with his logical mind. So he's thinking to himself, I can only do this but for so much longer. But as of right now, I think he's willing to persevere, meaning that he's willing to see this through, but he needs to see that his efforts are not falling flat. Like, he needs to see that his efforts and your mutual efforts together in this are actually seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Because if he keeps going round and round, and you keep going round and round, and you keep ending in the same place and nothing was really changing, it's very easy to walk away. It's very easy to feel disappointed and give up. So I think that he needs to feel like, if we're going to have these conversations, that there needs to be some kind of resolve. And I think that one of the main ways to do that is by having a third party observer to kind of help you see where you need to improve, help him see where he needs to improve, help him understand how to hear you, and vice versa. And I think I just keep going back to the therapy thing. I see what you mean about the power struggle, and see, that's the thing, is that that's probably conditioned within you. Think about if you were dealing with his inner child and he was dealing with your inner child. Think back about when you guys were, like, let's just say you guys met when you were each 5 years old, how you would be with one another. You'd be very loving, very open. You probably wouldn't really argue. So if it helps as a practice to love the inner child within him and the inner child within you for him to love, because I think that a lot of the conditioning, we now view relationships as, oh, I need to be right. I need to be right here. But it's not about you against him. It's about you guys together against the issue at hand. And I think that we need to give some type of grace for, who he is now versus who he used to be, because a lot of times conditioning can be ingrained into our psyche. And what I mean by inner child is that if you can see, like, where in his life things went wrong, if you can love his inner child and know that maybe he had a terrible upbringing, or he's had a poor demonstration of healthy relationships, that might help you understand a little bit more as to why he is the way he is. Maybe possibly his, I'm throwing this out there as an example, maybe his mom when he was younger always like nagged on his dad and always like bossed him around, and he saw his dad become like a smaller and smaller person over time. Maybe he's like, I would never want that in my relationship. So then he has this like opposite effect, because now that he's older, he's like, well, I'm not going to let someone walk all over me. So then he's like overcorrecting. Do you get what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say about conditioning. So we have to kind of go back to loving the inner child, the younger self in one another, to understand that sometimes the way we are now and the way we react and the way that we act, it has nothing to do with who we are as a person. It's more what's been shown to us or what's been taught to us. You said his mom did do that? So see, he's trying to assert some type of authority in a relationship. You said that was what was so disappointing about our argument last night. We couldn't come to a resolve. I think that you guys would do really, really well with a third party observer, for sure. I can't believe that I used that example, and that's how it was. So he could just be really trying to assert his power and his alpha self, and you're like, you have to, he needs to understand you're not his mom. He needs to understand that you're not that person, even though that's what's been demonstrated to him. And I think that he's only going to come to that awareness if someone else points it out to him. But I feel overall his feelings towards you are still loving and caring, And I think exactly, you're not a doormat. So he can't, like him trying to correct himself, he's like overcorrecting things, right? Um, so now he's treating you in the relationship like his mom did, you know? And so that's making this a little bit complicated, because he's having a hard time disconnecting himself from the fact that you're not her. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and he shouldn't be trying to control you either. He needs to find a balance somewhere. Um, he has a long journey of healing ahead of him as well. I don't think this is naturally who he is, Stacey. I don't feel like this is his perfect aligned self to want to control you. He still has issues with his mom. Okay. So I think that he needs to understand himself better to understand how he wants to be in the relationship. And bottom line, he cares about you and he wants to work through this. But unfortunately, you guys can't, you're not able to do it with your own devices because that's not getting you anywhere. You need to introduce something or someone else into this to help you navigate through this relationship. And then I think you will start to see some reward. And I think that when there starts to become more peace in your relationship and he starts to see that and you start to see that, you both will be able to start rebuilding that feeling of hope and trust within one another. So my thing is right now is that you guys are at a turning point at this time where you can keep going down this road and probably eventually break up. Or you can take a look at things from like a different standpoint or viewpoint and understand that you're probably not going to be able to get through this alone and that you need help, and that's okay. And you're doing it for the greater good of your relationship. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling, Stacey. I hope that that helps you. I know that therapy is already something that you have been thinking on. So I hope that this gives you some confidence to move forward in that direction for you guys. Oh, I meant to delete her off the list. Everything's changed. Shayna J, you got it, girl. You're welcome, Stacey. I do hope that that helped you. And you know, Stacey, this might open a lot of doors for your relationship as well, because I think this might be the first step into him like really becoming the version of himself that he really wants to be. You might be helping by making the suggestion. You might be helping him like unearth some things that he's been putting to the side that he's needing to confront. And I think in the end, this could be something he's really grateful to you for. So instead of feeling feelings of resentment or frustration, it's more going to be like gratefulness. And this is just going to get his foot in the door. I think that's really important. All right, so next up on our list we have is Rising Storm. Rising Storm Tarot, if you're here, feel free to check in with me. I went ahead and posted the donation list. We have Rising, then James, and Shayna J. I have Shayna J's questions, I have James's question, and I have Rising Storm's question. Our free list has been closed. I will answer a yes/no question if you're new, but only if you're a new sub, okay? Thanks, Stacy. Okay, so this is for Rising. Rising, I have you down for a BOGO and then another in-depth. So basically 3 questions. I got you. Okay. So let's start this off now. So, Rising, I don't feel like he really entertains the immaturity that the ex and the friend display. I don't think that he likes it. I don't think that he's entertained by it, and he doesn't show that he thinks it's funny. I have like Aries energy here, so I feel like he's very independent from that. He separates himself and like draws a line in that and says like I'm not about that. I'm not about like the immaturity, the juvenile nature in which they conduct themselves. And I feel like he tries to separate himself from that quite a bit. We also have House 9, which is like that of personal and spiritual growth. I feel like he's saying I'm much more evolved than that. Let's see. I think he does worry about you succumbing to that same level. He doesn't want to see you get down on their level. Does that make sense? Don't go lower just to meet them where they're at. So I think that this post, he's acknowledging that he understands that it might be frustrating for you, but I think that he doesn't want you to stoop to their level. Do you get what I'm saying? He's saying stay high. Keep your thoughts high. Because this, 9th house has to do with belief systems and morals and ethics. And so there's a big theme here about him wanting to make sure that just because they're acting ridiculous, you know, and unethical, or they don't seem to have their head on straight, doesn't mean that you need to get on their level. And that makes sense, Rising, for sure. And I think that's why he's making that acknowledgement here, because you're saying that you're not going to let it affect you. I think that he worries by making a post about it that you are letting it affect you, even if you don't agree with that. That could be how he's perceiving it. So he's saying that's, you know, it's understandable and it's fine, but he just wants to make sure that it's not something that you allow yourself to continue to do, because the way that he views you is so much higher than that. Let's see, what does he think? What does he think? You know what's interesting too is he feels like the friends influence one another. I'm trying to understand this dynamic, but one of the friends brings, like, it's either the friend brings the ex down or the ex brings the friend down. Does that make sense? He's making, like, I feel some type of acknowledgement of him saying, oh, if the ex didn't hang around this friend, she wouldn't be as bad. The friend makes her even, her, like, brings out the worst in her. Or he's saying that the ex brings out the worst in this friend, and that he wishes that okay, so we're gonna call the ex, we're gonna call her friend A, okay? And then we're gonna call the friend of the ex friend B. All right. So he's saying that they influence each other, like they bring out the worst in each other. These two girls. Right. So he's saying, I wish that friend A wouldn't hang out with friend B, or I wish friend B wouldn't hang out with friend A, or maybe when they get together, they just bring out the worst in each other. They're so much better by themselves than they are when they're together. So there's definitely like low vibes here, and that's like another message that's coming in. So when she's by herself, she doesn't say anything. Yeah. They must have known each other since like grade school. It's making me feel like, do you know when someone reverts back to like their old ways? So when they get around someone, so they're kind of showing me the example of like a fraternity, right? In college, and everyone graduates and goes their own separate ways. They barely see each other anymore. They're now off doing their own jobs, starting their own businesses, starting their own families. But then when these fraternity brothers get back together, even 10, 15 years later, they revert back to their old fraternity ways. They get immature. They want to drink a lot. They want to play all these stupid games. Even though they're grown-ass men with their own businesses, their own jobs, their own careers, their own families, and they're very mature in these lives, it's like something about being around them puts them back in that place of like who they used to be. And so that's what this relationship between the two of them is reminding me of, is that they've known each other for a long time and they just go back into like bad habits, like of how they used to be. Oh my gosh, sorry, I just sneezed. Whoa. Yeah, because when she's by herself, she doesn't say anything. She just keeps walking with her friend. It's like Mean Girls. Exactly. That's what makes me feel like they've been friends for a long time. They revert back to these old ways. This is definitely a relationship that probably should have met its end, to be honest. I don't know if it's thank you. I don't know if it's good for them to still be friends with each other. But basically, his feelings about it are, um, it's immature, and I don't want to entertain it. I don't like when they act this way. I really hope that it didn't offend Rising Storm. I hope she understands that she's better than that, and that she doesn't ever stoop down to their level in regards to this. And then lastly, he's saying about the two of them, the two friends, he's saying, I wish that they would just go their separate ways because they bring out the worst in each other. Okay, so let's move on to your next question here. Thanks again, Rising. Sometimes I'll put y'all on mute if that happens. Because I don't want it to be like right in your ear. The ex, man. She likes to come around, doesn't she? What's going on here, please? What's going on here? So the first message I'm getting is that this ex is close to his family, Rising. She's very intertwined in his life because she has multiple point of contacts of people that are in his life. So his family, or the people that he feels as family, even if it's friends, she has multiple point of contacts in his life. And so a lot of times what happens is that she's not even there for him necessarily. She's there for, like, these other people might be over too, and they invited her, and he's like, whatever, I don't care, she can come, kind of thing. I think a lot of the times too is that I don't know, I'm not necessarily getting that they're there for each other. I want to make that clear. This could be like a pickup, drop off, hangout situation. I think that they want, if their child is around, I think that they want that child to see them getting along with each other, and not feel like the child feels like they have to, like, choose one or the other. So she might come, it might be like a transition thing where she's picking up or dropping off, and she ends up staying a little bit longer than usual. He could, like I said, he could have friends over, and then she just is a part of the group, so she comes with it. I don't think that she's coming over for him, and vice versa. I do believe that they just have multiple point of contacts where she knows the people in his life, and she's very much intertwined and embedded herself into his life. I think partially through that's intentional. I think partly it just happens naturally. That's very interesting. Very interesting. But I think at this point, they've known each other for so long, it just seems natural. It doesn't seem like out of the ordinary. But I feel like there's always a buffer between them. To me, it's very rare that they're ever alone together at his place. Okay. So they're either, if they are, they're expecting someone else to come over, or maybe it's just like just not that long. I don't know. And to me, it feels like she's just a part of the package. It doesn't necessarily feel like he's inviting her over. Now, she could use this to her advantage because, again, she's very territorial over him. But I really do feel him distancing himself to her. Like, I think he's seeing her ways. What is this about, please? What's happening here? The problem, Rising, is that he's built a bond with this child. I don't know how long, or how old this child is. And I actually knew someone personally who raised a child thinking that it was his own. It happens so often. The kid ended up being like 2.5, something along those lines, when he found out that it wasn't his. And he's a really great dad, and I think initially in the beginning he wanted to keep spending time with him, because he had assumed he was the dad for the longest time, but then I think it just became too hard, so he had to distance himself. And I feel like I don't know, something tells me that he's been, the person you're asking about, I feel like he's been in this child's life for a certain amount of time, a year, 2 years, whatever, and or it could be longer than that. I don't know how old the kid is, but I feel like it would be a very hard concept for him to let go, even if he found out this kid wasn't his. I think it would be very hard for him to walk away from that relationship. He probably would eventually, but I think it would be hard for him to do so. I see rising. Thank you. Let's see. All right, so why is she over there? We have Virgo energy. We all know this is like the mother energy. Like I said, I think that she is taking advantage of the fact that she's, they have like an open door policy. She can kind of come and go as she pleases, even though it's not necessarily to visit one another. I think that she takes advantage of this, of his like trust and patience, and his ability to tolerate her. She just kind of pushes it to the limits, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think that they're there, or when she comes over, I don't think she's necessarily there for him specifically. I think that she's just very much intertwined in his life. There was another message that I kind of wanted to touch on too before I move on, and that was at the beginning of the reading, where I was talking about how she's very close to other people in his life, especially family, and I remember you confirming that. It makes me feel like she does this on purpose because she wants to make, I think the family wants to make sure they stay on her good side, just because they're, they know that she probably could be a loose cannon. They don't really want to set her off, or I guess like make things more complicated for him, because the relationship's already a little bit shaky, and I think mostly she's in control, like he's at her mercy, so they don't want to really fuck things up for him. So they try to stay on her good side, and I think she does take advantage of that. Okay, so all right, so we're on to your next second reading, for the in-depth. We just finished the BOGO, so we're doing the second in-depth. You said you get it, no more problems. Yeah. Yeah, they're just trying to make things as peaceful as possible. All right, so we have the yang version of yin, yang, and so that makes me feel like I feel like he's asserting his authority a little bit more with this. So to be honest, Rising, I think that he might be willing to speak out about it, to essentially say to either the ex or the friend or them both, depending on when he finds this information out, that it's not cool. It's not cool to act this way. You guys are grown adults. It's not necessary for you to be like this. And if you're going to do it on your own time. Do it when you're by yourself. Don't do it in front of this person. She did nothing to you. And so I think he does come to your defense quite a bit. The Yang is like the alpha version, like the action oriented, just someone being proactive and expressing themselves. And so I feel like he really wants to come to your defense in this situation. So he's gonna say stuff like, if you're gonna do this shit, do it on your own time. Do it at your house. Do it over the phone. Don't do it when you're in earshot with someone. This girl did nothing to you, and you guys can have your own little petty feelings, but it's not necessary. It's honestly embarrassing, and I just think it's extremely immature kind of thing. And so I feel like, he's coming to your defense here. Let's see. There's definitely a protective layer to this with House 2, wanting to offer some type of security. So I have the word, because it talks about like material value. It's not like he owns you, but I feel like he feels protective of you. He feels like you're his to protect in this situation because you didn't do anything wrong. I do feel like a lot of the times he feels like he has to be the peacemaker between his ex and other people. I think this is not the first time where he's had to speak up and be like, can you just not, just don't do this. Something tells me that there is a friend of his, which I know we're going in a completely different direction, but I'm getting the message, so I'm going to say it. There's a friend of his that actually doesn't like her. And there's been issues in the past where he's kind of had to be the go-between, like the mediator, the peacemaker. And I think he's quite honestly tired of having to constantly be that person that's like, can you just stop? Like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this, that kind of thing. You're making things more complicated than necessary. He's definitely had to be the go-between between her and someone else in his life that he's close to. I think it's his friend, but I'm not positive. If he has a sister, it could be a sister, but there's just like some type of vibe where like this person in his life was not okay with her, didn't like the way that she acted or conducted herself, and he had to basically come to the defense and essentially be like, y'all need to work this out because this isn't okay. I can't constantly be put in the middle of your mess, that kind of thing. And I think this is like, maybe this is why it's being brought up, because he's feeling like he's doing that again. He feels like he's being put back in that position where he's having to come to, someone else's defense because of her immaturity. And he thinks it's embarrassing. He really does. And I think the last message I'm getting is that he doesn't want this to reflect poorly on him in regards to what you think about him, because I think that he worries because he knows that she's in connection with him. So if she's talking shit, actually another message is that I think that she wants you to think that he's also talking shit about you, and that's why she does it in front of you. This is kind of crazy. So essentially, because you relate the two of them together, she's intentionally doing this in front of you because she wants you to think that if she's talking shit about you and her friend is talking shit about you, then he's also talking shit about you. She's trying to put false pretenses. She's trying to fill your brain with doubt. She's trying to play a mental game with you, because if you associate the two of them together and she's talking shit, she wants to plant doubt in your mind. And he, on the other hand, is saying, I don't want to be associated with her, and I know that Rising Storm associates us together, and I don't want this to reflect poorly on me, and I don't want her to think that I'm a part of this bullshit shenanigan conversation. I have nothing to do with this. I'm independent from this. You said you remember the guy friend. He's nice. Okay, perfect. Hey, how do I say your name? Gayathri? How are you? Doing well. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate you. So, Rising, I'm glad that you can confirm that friend that I'm talking about. So, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in his head as far as like what does he feel about these people doing this stuff. Like he's not about it. He's basically bottom line saying I don't support it. It's not okay that he's come to your defense when he finds out again. I don't know if he's addressing the ex or the friend or them both, but I feel like it's either them both or it's the ex by themselves, and he's like, this is embarrassing. Like, you can't just go out, because like not only that, but it's not just about what you overhear, Rising, it's about what other people overhear too. Like if you know you're walking past a neighbor and they're talking shit and you can hear them like snickering and talking to each other, and then you know that they're friends with someone that's like you, that lives there with you guys, that would give such a bad impression. Like people would start to be like, wow, like why does he surround himself with people like this unless he is like that? So it's like adds even an extra layer outside of what you think of him. He's just like, who are you saying this in front of? Like, these are my neighbors. Like, these are people that live here. I don't want people to think that I like am associated with people like you, even though I am. I just don't, just do it on your own time. Just don't do it here. Like, what is the point of this? Why are you doing this? It's completely unnecessary. Like that kind of thing. Okay, so last question for you, Rising. It's actually making a lot of sense, Rising, why in other readings I would get messages like where he's looking at you fondly and saying, she's so good, she's so pure, she can heal me, she can bring me comfort. Because clearly look at what he was comparing to. It's all like coming full circle for me to understand why he thinks so highly of you. Not that you don't deserve to be thought highly of, but it makes so much sense that there was a lot of emphasis about it, because it was a common theme in your readings, is like how much of a good person he kept saying you were, and there was just so much highlighted on that topic. And that makes a lot of sense because he was doing a lot of comparison. Oh my god, this is so crazy, girl. So I have the first card that I pulled here was from my astrology deck, and it says Venus. So I'm over here like, okay, but do you know what Venus is associated with? Is in harmonious relationships. Um, so I think that he's viewing you as someone that he wants to be in a harmonious relationship with. Another interpretation is the planet that rules peace, or being a peacemaker. Is that not the craziest thing? That I don't really, have you ever heard me use that word before, peacemaker? It's not a normal part of my vernacular, but sometimes spirit gives me ways to phrase things that's not typical for me, because they want you to know that they're coming through. So the fact that I said peacemaker earlier, how he always feels like the go-between or the mediator or the peacemaker, and somehow Venus is pulling out, and that card literally means the planet of being a peacemaker, or planet of peace. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. But in regards to feelings for you, I am getting that Venus card. We love to see that because this is the ruler of love. This is the planet motto that says, I love and I want to be loved and I want to be in a harmonious relationship with someone else that's filled with beauty and intimacy. And I feel like that's how he's looking at you. He sees your beauty, he's very attracted to you and sees your value. Um, I feel like he wants to be in a relationship with you where you guys give and receive, and it's very mutually generous. I feel like he finds you charming. He finds you very aesthetically pleasing. So there's things that you wear, things that how you dress or how you style yourself that he's very drawn to. He might even say like, "Oh, that's my type," like you're his type, which is interesting because you might not find yourself um, relatable to the people you've seen him date in the past. So for you to be like, oh, well, how am I his type when I'm nothing like the people he's dated? But I do feel like when he's saying my type, he's saying my ideal type. Okay. How's he feeling about her? All right. So house one, I feel like one of the things he is really drawn to about you is that your individuality, right? You're very unique. You set yourself apart in so many ways, and in like your physical appearance. I feel like he's heard you talk before too. There could be some recognition in your voice, as well as your energy signature. So there's something about your energy and the way you carry yourself that feels very different and unique as well. Um, he likes the fact that you're comfortable and confident enough with yourself to put you on camera. That's a message that's come through. He likes that you're just like, it is what it is. You have a great day, you're feeling yourself, or maybe you're not feeling yourself, but it doesn't matter. You put yourself on camera. That kind of gives like a vibe of, I know who I am and I'm confident in myself, and you like me or you don't, but it's whatever. And so that very like nonchalant, very like unattached, um just go with the flow kind of vibe is just very attractive to him. He likes your approach to life in that way. And the also the North Node card is here. The North Node is, as we all know, it's the direction that we're heading, and it's the best explanation and representation of what we're supposed to be doing with our lives to be the best version of ourselves. So whenever we see the North Node, it indicates something that we're supposed to get to, right? We're supposed to reach. It's a goal we're supposed to attain. um it's something that we're destined to have. And so if he's viewing you as his North Node, he's viewing you as like his northern star, his sense of direction, his compass. And he's looking at you as something that eventually he is supposed to have, that you are something that he's supposed to attain at some point. And so I feel like what that's saying in a roundabout way is that you're destined to be together according to him, that you're helping him understand his value and his worth and what he will and will not accept. You're influencing him and guiding him. And he feels like eventually you're helping him work to be the version of himself that you deserve, which is interesting. Um, and that is how he feels. Now I don't know if he feels very confident in saying she's my destiny, but he feels like your influence is definitely significant, and that regardless you're helping him be a better version of himself. And if that eventually leads him to you, that's something he'll be really excited about. But there is a part of him that doubts your connection, but that's only because it hasn't been like manifested. Do you know what I mean? It's not tangible yet. So there still is some uncertainty surrounding it, but there is like a part of him that feels very guided to you, as in like this is a destined relationship. Did you have any questions, Rising? Well put. Thank you, Luna. You're welcome, Rising. Absolutely. You're very welcome. All right, guys. So we're still working our way through the list right now. Donations are open. If you wanted to donate, feel free. All of the priceless options are in the description. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. We're going to answer a question really quickly for our new sub today. So our new sub wants to know, will I reunite with my ex, Manfred? Okay, let's take a look here. Gayatri, I'm about to read for you. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. All right, Gayatri says, will I reunite with my ex, Manfred? Gayatri, I am getting a no for that question. I want you to know that, oh, perfect. I want you to know that there's still a very small percentage, there's a very small window or opportunity for you guys to reconcile. And I think that's just because you guys have residual feelings for one another. But as of right now, so like, let me explain future timelines really quickly, okay? So the way in which the timelines work is if you ask a question right now, I can only answer with the assumption that nothing will change between you two. And this is along the current trajectory that you're on. Okay. So today I can say no. However, 2 days from now, you can decide to reach out to her. That wasn't what you were originally planning on doing. That's why I got a no. But 2 days from now, you can decide to reach out to her. And then reciprocation happens. And then maybe next week you ask me the same question. And I tell you that there's actually more of a chance for you guys to reconcile now that you've made the decision to contact her. But as of right now, you don't plan on contacting her. She doesn't plan on contacting you. No other decisions have been made. And the way the energy is right now, it's not fixed. But the way the energy is right now is that as long as you keep doing what you're doing right now, and she keeps doing what she's doing, and neither of you make any changes or attempts to contact one another, or change your mind or anything like that, you just keep living your life and she keeps living her life, that trajectory as far as reuniting with one another is a no. Okay, she could a month from now change her mind. She could say, actually, I still have feelings left over for Gayatri and I feel like I need to contact them. And in that moment, she has now altered the timeline, and maybe, possibly, reuniting with her will become more possible. Or him, sorry, him or her, with Manfred. So it's just very important that you keep in mind that if I don't give you an answer, that you want to hear, if I don't give you an answer that you want to hear, that you have the opportunity to change this. Now, keep in mind, she does have free will, so it's important that you understand the only thing you can change is yourself. You can't change her mind or influence the way that she is thinking. Okay? So it just comes down to ultimately our decisions, our own free will, and what we decide to do. But the only way that I can answer your question today is based off of the current energies, based off of your life and her life, or I'm sorry if I'm getting the pronouns wrong, but I can only go off of the current energies. These can change. But as of right now, I'm not getting that. I'm getting that you guys will probably meet other people. So I hope that that makes sense. That's why we get tarot readings. That's why we get psychic readings. That's why we do things like that, because it's almost like a check-in. It tells us where we're at, where we're going. We can constantly manipulate and change the future if we want to, based on our own free will. And you can consider that readings like this are more like report cards. They tell you where you're at that time. And if you don't like what you see, then you change it. Then you work harder or you do something differently. Yeah, of course. You're so welcome. Okay. All right. So next on our list is James. James, I'm going to check in with you really quickly and just see if you're here or back. All right, this is for James Helen. James wanted a love option 2 to start. Love option 2 for James. All right, James. Sorry, I just got kicked out. Okay, so 129. We're gonna start. All right. So thoughts. What is he putting into this connection? Thoughts, feelings, intentions. Is there any influences or blocks and overall energy? So again, James, we're still things are still looking really good. I would say whatever you're doing, just keep it up, because things look really nice for you. I just cut the deck and I got the Four of Wands. I do feel like we're working towards commitment here for the two of you. Regardless, your relationship is leveling up. For her to be putting Ten of Cups towards the connection indicates that she's really looking at you as a what am I trying to say? As a contender. I don't feel like you're in competition with anyone else, so I don't want to say like option or prospect, but I feel like it's like she's her head has turned. You've turned her head, and she's really looking at you like differently now. Um, and by differently, I mean as like a serious option. It's almost like the veil has lifted or the fog has cleared, and she's like, wait a second, wait a damn minute. Is this person my person? Like, and so she's looking at you kind of through a new lens. Does that make sense? Um and I think that it is helping. So like I said, whatever you're doing, keep it up, because I think this is helping the connection. I don't ever want you to feel offended by her or take anything personally. I feel like the more effort you see from her, the more trust you feel in your relationship. And I think honestly, once you get that commitment from her, I think a lot of your doubts or concerns or the things that might make you feel some type of way will actually start to subside because you feel more certain about their relationship. I think certain things get to you or sting more or hurt you deeper, cut deeper, that kind of thing, because you're not sure where you stand with her, and you haven't in the past. But I think once you become more certain, or you guys are like defining the relationship, things start to become more clear. Um, it's easier to not let things get to you as much. Does that make sense? So as far as Ten of Cups, she's looking at you through a new lens, through a love lens. um Rose colored glasses. Okay, so a lot of what you do is flattering to her or empowering to her or makes her feel happy. um I don't think you're really offending her or anything like that, and I think that comes with too the fact that you have been trying harder to approach the relationship differently. You guys have strengthened your communication skills too, which is really nice, and not taking things as personally is very helpful. Her thoughts about you are very loving and kind. I feel like she's very fond of you, and she feels comforted by you as well. Her feelings, she does keep a bit at bay. I will say that it might be really hard to like get her true feelings about you verbally. Pay attention to her actions. That's something that you really want to do. The things that she's doing versus the thing that she's saying is going to be very important as far as assessing your feelings from her, or assessing her feelings for you, because she does keep those a bit guarded. They're not as verbal, but the things that she's doing, spending time with you, or acts of service, or giving you things, these are showing that she has affections for you and that she wants you to feel appreciated by her. So that's really important. I'm not sure what your love languages are, but something tells me that you like verbal reassurance. And maybe once you're actually in a committed relationship with someone, maybe that's not as important to you. But I think in the beginning, healthy, very clear, direct communication is important to understand where you stand with someone. But with her, it's going to be different. You're going to have to pay attention to her actions, okay? As far as intentions, I have the Queen of Pentacles, and then right next to it we have the King of Pentacles. This is giving like good match and good companionship and compatibility here. This is indicating like just like you guys are a good match for each other. Not that you don't know that, but it just needs to be said. It's showing that she's becoming more accepting of playing a girlfriend role or a wife role in your life. She's not quite there yet, but she's warming up to the idea. I don't feel like there's any influences or blocks right now. I think things are looking really good and grounded with the King of Pentacles. And the overall energy is the Nine of Cups. So this indicates wish fulfillment and happiness in getting what you want out of this relationship. So that is the overall energy. Next, we have your 2 mini read questions. So let's take a look here. Shuffling for you now for your second question, mini read. All right, thoughts and feelings towards James. So we did tap into that a little bit, right? Already. With her having a fondness for you, thinking very kind and loving towards you. You have a soft spot in her heart, definitely picking up on that. And then it's important to understand her feelings are definitely going to be something that she guards a little bit more. Pay attention to her actions, okay? What are her thoughts and feelings towards James? So one thing that's really important for you to know, James, is she feels extremely comforted by you. You're like a warm cup of tea. You just bring this this energy to her, make her feel empowered. She feels very comforted by you. 6 of Cups is probably one of my favorite cards. And a lot of people like 6 of Cups because it makes them feel like a past person might be coming back for reunion. But to me, it feels nostalgic. It feels like memories. It feels like comfort. It feels like a world before. And so I feel like you're connecting her to a part of herself that she used to be. Maybe before this life, or maybe before she went through some shitty situations in this life. You remind her of her and her most pure and essential self, like basic self, her pure essence. Does that make sense? I feel like you remind her of who she is, and I think that's what she really loves about you. She really loves that she feels so comforted by you. Your voice is familiar, your body is familiar, the way that you talk to her is familiar, and she needs that. Like, she holds on to familiarity because it makes her feel at peace. It's just definitely important that you remind her of who she is before all of the bullshit, right? The relationships that might have been toxic, or certain friendship dynamics that maybe went sour. Like, you remind her of the time before, and also help her realize who she is now after being through all of those things. And you don't do this by like demanding that she believe what you're saying. It's just through spending time with you and seeing herself through your eyes that is making her realize like who she is. And I feel like that's a very powerful position for you to be in, James, because it's like a fresh breath of air to her. And I feel like she finds you to just be this thing that she constantly falls back to. And it's just a great place to be in as a person. It's almost like someone who likes to drink warm morning coffee to give them that energy for the morning. It's like you're a sweet treat, okay? They really like you. It's like indulging in a piece of chocolate. It's like eating comfort food. It's like, that's what you are to her. You're a warm bowl of soup. She just likes the fact that your energy can just wrap around her and like make her feel safe. And I think that's really beautiful. Let's see. I think also you help her feel like she can overcome a lot of obstacles. You have a belief in her that makes her feel like, wow, okay, so someone else can see me this way. Then maybe, what is it I'm missing? What am I not seeing about myself? This person sees me this way. And maybe you just see her down to her core. Maybe you see who she is, who she could be, who she was. You see all aspects of her. I think that also can feel very vulnerable to her, and it could be why it's kind of hard to like take that jump into a relationship with you. Or I wouldn't say it's hard now, but it could have been hard in the past for her, because she's like, wow, he really sees through me. He's known like multiple versions of me, and he just sees me for all the things that I am, and it's just like it's just a lot. It makes me feel very vulnerable. But I think that you have good influence on her. I think you help her heal from, the things that she needs to heal from. I think through the energy work that you do, and also just by being a good friend to her, just by being someone that she can count on. Your consistency is really important to her as well. And I think that she understands who she is to you. I don't know if she fully feels like she deserves it, but I think that she is starting to believe what you're saying to her, which is definitely a good thing. So that's how she feels. Her thoughts and feelings towards you. As far as will she allow you to do Reiki and massage with her? Let's see. Will she allow James to do Reiki and massage with her? Will Patty allow James to do Reiki and massage with her? James, I think it'll be much easier to convince her to do Reiki at this time than to do massage. Both are very intimate, and I just think that maybe Reiki will be more easier for her to ease herself into. And then I think maybe at that point you could talk her into massage, because I did see the Chariot, which felt like victory in both areas. But I think that it's like start slow, dip your feet in kind of thing, because one is like your hands are hovering, and then one hand your hands are on her. And I understand that you guys have been like intimate before in the past and stuff, but I think something about massage and Reiki intimacy is different than like physical intimacy. A lot of times we don't associate like we can compartmentalize, right? So like sex doesn't necessarily mean equal intimacy. It should, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It could just be a physical act. Whereas I think Reiki and massage is like you're setting an intention to get close to someone without actually like having an end result. Do you get what I'm saying? And so I feel like it's easy to compartmentalize sex without intimacy, but I think that when you get deep into your feelings and have a conversation, when you do Reiki, when you do massage, I think these are a level of intimacy that she still has to get comfortable with. It's just different for her. So my thing is overall, yes. Overall, yes. You will eventually get to that point with her. I do think you're gonna have to ease your way in. She might find massage to be less intimate than Reiki, and maybe she wants you to do massage first and then Reiki later. My guess is Reiki first, but I think she's gonna want you to do one or the other and ease her way into it. But I am getting a yes for one or the other, and I think eventually both. It's interesting. Like her feelings of intimacy are different than my understanding of intimacy. I feel like there's certain things that feel more intrusive or violate. And I don't want to say violating, but it feels like unconventional things feel more intimate to her than conventional things. I hope that makes sense. Like, for instance, she can have sex with you till she's blue in the face, but having a deep, meaningful conversation to her feels intrusive. Do you get what I'm saying? You can put your hands all over her body, but tapping into her energy is intrusive to her. That's what I mean by it's just unconventional or untraditional. The levels at which she perceives certain things to be intimate and certain things to not. That's why I'm having a hard time figuring out if it's Reiki first or massage first. But I think it's one or the other. You ease her into the second option. Will Patty allow James to do Reiki and massage with her eventually? Yeah, I think you're going to be able to do both at some point. All right, so that is it for James. Next up, we have Shayna J. Shayna J, if you're here and you want to check in with me, feel free to do so. I have Shayna J's questions. All right, guys, I put up a last call for donations, and I'm going to go ahead and close the list now. Whoever's still hanging out with me, thank you. We are about to wrap up for the night. All right, Shayna J, this is for you. I have you with the mini love spread for you and Keenan. Option 2, Keenan's the Taurus. So that's going to look into what they're putting into this connection, like what they're showing you or giving to you at this time, as well as thoughts, feelings, intentions. Is there any kind of block here or influence over the connection? And also, what's the overall energy? So to start, let's see, where do we want to go? What's feelings, intentions? I'm getting major energy here, Shayna, that this person views you as the girlfriend, the wife, the main lady, the woman of his life. Okay, so you are basically the person that's above all the rest. So you're either the only one, or if you know that he's involved with other people, then you're like the main one. But I'm getting more like wife material. Nobody compares to you. You're unmatched. Like you beat out everyone else, kind of vibe. In this reading, I have the Queen and the King together. This is similar to James's reading that I just did, but I did shuffle really well. So the fact this is coming out again is just confirmation of that, because it indicates that he feels like you guys are a good match for each other, you're compatible, or you belong together, something along those lines. I also see the 10 of Pentacles. So this indicates to me that married but separated. Okay. 10 of Pentacles indicates to me that there's this desire to have you in his life for a long time. I'm glad you're here also. Thank you, Shayna J. So I feel like he's saying we're tied together for life. Like she can't get rid of me, I can't get rid of her. Like we're tethered to one another for the rest of time. That's what it feels like to me. He just views you as the wife. Okay. So that's definitely coming through for sure. And I feel like that is what he's giving to the connection. That's how he's viewing the connection. His thoughts are a bit complicated. I do see like struggle or hardship here. There's some type of conflict. It could indicate that there's disagreements between you guys. Five of Wands can talk about arguments, disagreements, fighting. But typically, Five of Wands talks about the two of you together externally. So this is not internal conflict or internal tension that he would be feeling. That would be represented by the Five of Swords. But the Five of Wands indicates that there's an external struggle that he feels is going on possibly between the two of you in this dynamic. And he could feel that even if there's not current disagreements happening or current arguments, he could feel like you guys are on opposite ends of the spectrum. He could feel like he is at opposition from you, meaning that you guys are not getting along, not in harmony, not in alignment, something along those lines. Things are not feeling very balanced here in this connection. And he could be very like defensive during this time, I feel, or like there's clashing personalities, something along those lines. It just feels like you guys are just on opposite ends or opposite sides, but his feelings for you are very romantic in nature. So I have the Knight of Cups. This could indicate that he wants to make an offer to you. He potentially wants to get back together with you. He's thinking about all the ways in which he can express this romantic feeling that he is having for you. So I definitely feel like there's still love here. I think that you're always going to be the wife. I think that with the Knight of Cups, that romance is in the air. So I think that it's potentially something that he's going to want to tap into at some point. Maybe try to see if he can reconcile with you. Would be another interpretation of this. Either that, or he just always will hold a place for you in his heart. I don't feel like even if he has bitter feelings for you on the surface, I think deep down that stems because from the fact that he does actually hold love for you in his heart. And I feel like he's not ready to let you go. I feel like he's not ready for you guys to divorce or like the separation to be permanent. I don't think that he's prepared for that. I don't think that there's any blocks here. Influences might be money, financial, maybe like the fact that you're wanting to see more responsibility from him. You said he came over today to visit our boys, and he kept looking over at me. I could tell he wanted to tell me something. Yeah, he definitely has feelings for you still, Shayna, and I think this is something that he's gonna always have. All right. I feel like I said, I don't think there's necessarily blocks, but I think the influences over this connection it could have to do with money, finances, career, or like you expecting some type of responsibility from him, a way for him to step up and really show you that he's husband material could be a factor. And the overall energy, we have the Hangman. You guys are on pause at the moment. This doesn't feel like things are completely over for you guys, at least in his mind, because again, this is a reading for him. So he feels like things are just on a break right now. I don't think that he thinks that he could feel like there's delays. He could feel like you guys are on a break or on a pause, but he feels like at some point y'all are going to hit play again. All right. So the Hangman talks about pause. Okay. We're not stopping. We're not completely like taking the tape out or the CD out of the, you get what I'm trying to say. We're not completely changing the station or the album or whatever. He's saying, I'm not ready to move on. He's saying, we're just on pause, but we're going to hit play again at some point. That's his feelings. That's what he thinks is going to happen. I think he's just biding his time, to be completely honest with you. I think he's just kind of waiting it out for you to signal to him that you want to give this another chance. He has not let this go. All right, let's take a look here. Messages from him. I think the main theme of your reading, Sheena, is unfinished business. I'm not sure where your head is at or where you stand here in this connection, but he definitely feels like there's more to play out than what's been done thus far. He thinks there's more to figure out, more to discover. He says he feels like you guys are destined for each other. He's currently struggling, like he's saying, I'm struggling to find the right path. I'm trying to take your lead. I'm trying to see what you want me to do. We have reunion. We will always come back to each other. What did I say? That was in that last reading. He's saying we'll always come back to each other. We belong together. Never can let each other go. He says, I haven't given up on us yet. I have never felt a passion this intense. I am starting to see your side of the story. I want to have equal give and take. And let's see. Last card here, we have dishonesty and regret. By lying, I ripped us apart. And that's actually interesting, Sheena, because I feel like I've seen, soul tie, I always feel connected to you. This card about dishonesty, by lying, I ripped us apart. This card that I have here is making me feel like this is meant just for you. And I'm going to say that because I don't see this card often in this deck. As a matter of fact, it feels like it's the first time I've seen this card. So I feel like there was something he didn't do or he kept from you. Maybe he didn't tell full truths or something like that caused a problem in your relationship. But yeah, that is what I've got for you, girl. I'm struggling to find the right path. We'll always come back to each other. I haven't given up on us yet. I never felt a passion this intense. I see your side of the story and I want to have equal give and take. By lying, I ripped us apart. I always feel connected to you. I also feel like there's a level of him that wish this separation never happened. I think that there are ways to learn here, and there's a reason why you guys are not together anymore, or not together right now, I should say. But I think that he hates this middle part, this uncertainty that you guys are in. He doesn't like that aspect of the relationship. You're very welcome, Shayna. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. That is where I'm going to leave it. Thank you so much for another awesome stream. You guys will see me again. Unless something comes up, but I don't think it will. You'll see me Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll be taking Saturday off, and you'll probably see me Sunday nights, okay? All right, I will talk to you everyone later. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your nights. Adios.